What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review the 1997 EP by Marilyn Manson. Basically, this product is called Remix and Repent, and it came out in the fall of 1997. The thing about this particular product is just the fact that it came out as like basically like a it came out as like some further bolstering of like the Antichrist Superstar album from the fall of 1996, which was a pretty good pitch. Rob Zombie did this as well with his 1999 album, which I forget what that remix album was called, but it was basically like some remixes of like Rob Zombie's White Zombie stuff and then like his Hellbilly Deluxe album from the summer of '98. It's a pretty good pitch because Marilyn Manson actually did that beforehand, and it's a pretty good concept that this particularly came out just a little over a year after Antichrist Superstar. So it's an excellent type pitch here, just an EP's worth of like some good content, like a remix type format with a few live songs, I'd have to say. Now, the thing about it is, with the three new songs that are actually remixes of former type stuff, I'd say this is some excellent type fare, and this is Marilyn Manson in prime form. I would definitely have to say, just a good concept of getting some of that haunting aesthetic of like Antichrist Superstar with like some new tricks on there that really breathe some new life into these songs. Definitely revitalizes like the Antichrist Superstar concept when before having to wait another year to get Mechanical Animals. I'd have to say, but the concept about it is, as much as I do like the concept of Marilyn Manson performing live in pitches like that, the live songs are really not that much different from the songs that are actually on the Antichrist Superstar album. So it's a good thing. So I look after that as kind of the pitch. I mean, it's not like this is still a worthwhile project for the three new songs that you get that have like some degree of like new nutrition about it, but it's just kind of the concept that I mean, it's definitely Marilyn Manson's definitely a pretty crazy performing pitches like that. It seems like it'd be a pretty ferocious time to go to some of those type of shows, but it's about the same. I would have almost wondered what cover songs that Marilyn Manson could have done as far as that pitch could have went. I do like the concept when like Evanescence, especially Marilyn Manson, considering that he's obviously a master and a pro at doing cover songs, but he does like Sweet Dreams and some of those type ones. I just wonder what probably could have happened. There is a Marilyn Manson live album that I want to get to that's eventually going to happen within the coming months. As far as those particular pitches going to happen, that does have some new stuff on there. I'd have to say, so I'm going to review in that sense. I'll probably thoroughly enjoy that particular project a lot more. Not to say this project's going to get a bad score, but just in terms of the pitch behind it, I just question how a live Marilyn Manson album's going to do. But yeah, this is a quality EP here. I definitely have to lap this one up. Definitely recommend fucking with it as far as those pitches kind of happen. Just continued hits as far as that particular kind of goes. Same seeing some of Marilyn Manson's '90s singles remixed and just in a more techno type format. It's kind of, normally when you think of the '80s in terms of like nowadays times, the '80s is kind of seen as like a cheesy decade, just with like some of its type of disc, like glam rock and hair metal and some of those type pitches that were kind of cheesy throughout '80s times, just within those relative type folds, some of that type pitch. But it's actually interesting kind of see some cheesy kind of '90s techno on some of these types of songs. Now, obviously, these turnip songs are pretty vicious on here. They definitely work for like some pretty gnarled hangout type tunes to kind of get. Definitely for like PlayStation music when Resident Evil or Twisted Metal is on some of those type games, Grand Theft Auto, some of those type pitches I'd have to suppose. But I just look after it, just being able to say it just feels like it's not so much to the factor where it's not viciously good. It just is kind of the concept. It just feels easily like yesteryear as far as that pitch kind of goes. It's just an interesting concept because at one point this was like the most shredding that you could get between Marilyn Manson, Rob Zombie, Nine Inch Nails, some of those type folks that just did that '90s sort of stuff, Orgy, even some of those type folks that were really just crazed and magnificent kind of '90s performance, just kind of the pitch behind it. But I look at it, I mean, it doesn't feel ancient, but I don't want to say it feels cheesy, but this is kind of the concept. It just is within that neighboring kind of range. I mean, it's not like it's bad music, but this is, I would say it's within that neighboring kind of range within like a quality sense. It's definitely, I mean, I appreciate these songs quite thoroughly. It's just some aspect of type stuff, but just compared to some of the stuff that Marilyn Manson does in the 2000s and further, just is kind of it's just a very throwback type thing to kind of get here. But so yeah, basically the three songs I recommend are basically all three of the songs that are new songs. So the Horrible People, which is a remix of the Beautiful People, the Tourniquet Dance Mix, which is a remix of Tourniquet from the second single from Antichrist Superstar, and then Man That You Fear, and then Man That You Fear, which is an acoustic song of the Man That You Fear from Antichrist Superstar. So it's a good pitch for that. So the two live songs would be Dried Up, Tied, and Dead to the World, and then Antichrist Superstar, the title track. But basically, both those, I'm not going to recommend those songs just because the concept behind it, they're just the same as they were on Antichrist Superstar, just with like an audience there. Wasn't really that much different. They're pretty much like carbon copies, damn near, of those particular songs. Not really any differential type aesthetics or any real particular standout kind of craze carnage that really makes them any different from like the album editions of those. This is kind of the concept. But yeah, to talk about these new songs. So basically, The Horrible People, really enjoy this one. It's like a jumping kind of snarled techno metal gem. I would definitely feel like it's like some campy kind of 90s techno with like a warped kind of white zombie 90s vibes that I'd say about this particular one. It's a pretty good pitch. It's going to get that here. The concept just behind it just feels like a DVD type commercial that you would have when you pop a DVD into like PlayStation 2, something like that. Just that standard type fare. I mean, this is pretty jumping. I'd say just reminds of like definite type fare. Definitely pretty much like night, you know, this late 90s techno type club type craze. There's some blitz type stuff for that relative pitch. I mean, Marilyn Manson of course is a pretty crazy performer, so obviously a pretty already turned up song like The Beautiful People. This works masterfully for like a remix of like some techno type fare. So it's just the concept of just basically getting like a Rob Zombie esque Marilyn Manson song. I'd say it's an excellent type concept. Just that techno type pitch. If you like songs like Dragula, especially if you like the 1999 remix Dragula on like on Rob Zombie's remix album from '99, it's just a good pitch. But once again, Marilyn Manson did this 2 years before Rob Zombie did, so it's an excellent type pitch to kind of get that here. But yeah, this is just a pretty just really for like techno clubs, raves, trance places, some of those type places. That's just an excellent type for to kind of get some of that electronic, just kind of dark swarm things to really get things popping. Good concept for that real jumping type song. The Tourniquet prosthetic, which is also called Tourniquet Dance Mix, is another nice one as well. It's like a brewing kind of dismantled kind of techno hangout type song. Kind of get definitely some techno hangout sludge. I would feel like it's a good kickback, and this is just a head trip. Definitely pretty wicked type head trip to kind of have like some 90s kind of 9 Inch Nails type flavor to kind of get here. Definitely reminds me of the sort of stuff that Trent Reznor kind of did just within the pitch behind it. Just some excellent type flair to kind of get some of this. Let's really look after it. This one's a little bit of like a cooler tempo and tone. The temperature on the Tourniquet prosthetic dance mix is a little bit cooled down a bit. I would say it's just more temperate and just more moderated as far as that pitch gun goes. It's a good concept to kind of get some of that. Definitely some good hangout sludge just within the appeal. Some hangout sludges to kind of particularly kind of get. It's really like the campy type of overall appeal of some of this, but it works extremely well as far as that pitch will kind of go. So really appreciate the overall aspect behind it. So it's just a good type fare. Just kind of kick back, have some basic pizza, get some Pizza Hut, some of that type fare, get some wing stops, some of those type pitches, just sip a few brews and just kick back just with like some easy kind of going vibes, just basketball game on, hockey game on, some pitches like that. I'd say just an overall good appealing one, just an excellent 1-2 punch to kind of get for like some hangout type flair, and just overall 90s techno aesthetic that hits extremely heavily. So these remix songs just work extremely well. Then Man That You Fear Acoustics, another nice one. This is a good quality pitch here. It's like a forlorn kind of autumn scrag of a song. I would definitely feel like it's like some good brushy revamp of like a haunting tune that it was in the original format. And this song basically turns the pitch. It basically goes like a November type vibe compared to an October type vibe that it had on the original album from 1996. So some excellent type concepts here. It's a lot more just forlorn and just kind of this has more of like a dissonant kind of looming sense to kind of get. Really appreciate the more November type feels. It's a pretty good pitch. Not quite as gothic and creepy as that particular song that's on Antichrist Superstar from '96, but it is an excellent concept that they managed to revamp the song and just make it for like some nasty kind of acoustic type flair. Be an interesting pitch to see what Marilyn Manson could do with like an acoustic album as far as some of those pitches can happen. I really thoroughly enjoyed Godsmack's acoustic album from 2004, and I also thoroughly enjoy some of Alice in Chains' acoustic project, so it's definitely a good concept to wonder what Marilyn Manson could have done with some of these. Just a small taste of what probably could have happened with some of that. It's a pretty excellent concept. But yeah, I mean, basically recommending 3 songs out of 5 on this particular EP. I'm going to go ahead and give this EP like a 7.25 out of 10. I'd say within that excellent type fare. The new stuff is definitely pretty quality. I like the concept of it just being short and sweet, just the impact behind it. I probably would have chosen, like, I do appreciate the concept of getting some of these live songs, but it just is kind of like a strange format because they just really don't sound that different from like the actual album quality versions of these, which is about the only complaint. These are good songs, obviously, but it's just the concept that this is carbon copies of how that already sounds. It just really doesn't enhance the original songs too much. I probably would have. It would have been nicer to see like some cover songs that could have been exclusives or something like that, but then it probably wouldn't have been as much like a remix type project. That's this kind of thing. But I look after it, so 7.25 is good enough. But the social score, I'm going to go ahead and give like a 9 social, just because the impact of these is pretty high. I mean, despite the fact that I said it kind of feels like campy within the sense, I do like the concept of the excellence that it provides on here. Some good concepts to really have for like some hangout type fare, PlayStation type music, Pizza Hut type flair, some of that type of pizzazz kind of get this gas station runs and this basic kickback as far as the aspect kind of goes, especially in like a haunting kind of September, October, November. So it's an excellent type pitch, going to get that there. In terms of the future, like Marilyn Manson, he put out a series of songs in August of 2024, but I don't know if there's like an album coming just within the pitch behind what's going on there. There hasn't really been an album title announcement or pitches like that, so maybe there's some stuff in the pipeline coming as far as that particular one goes, but it's just kind of uncertain right now. There are yet and still a few more Marilyn Manson projects I want to get to, so it's a pretty good pitch to kind of get that. But this is a pretty ghastly overall project and a secret treat that you don't want to miss, and definitely an easygoing kind of hot topic and hot ticket of an appetizer.